Today's show is being brought to you by Creamalicious Ice Creams. If you would like to enjoy some delicious southern, maybe we might even say soul food flavors of ice cream, check out Creamalicious Ice Creams, available at Target and not at the Walmart.
Hello, everybody.
Oh,
You'll notice that my voice sounds
Sexy?
particularly Barry
Oh,
Whitish at this point. Oh, yeah. So that's laryngitis, actually. So I've got a little bit of a throat tickle right now. So
mhm.
I'm probably going to be laying back in the cut a little bit. You see, I got bags under my eyes because I ain't got no much sleep. But I did take a nappity nap, a little napperoni and cheese, a little nappy doo, and I am here. So I'm Top Cat again.
I am Sharon Letman Hicks.
And I am Joyce Stevens. And I'd like to take a moment to recognize the undefeated Anthony Turner for once again being first out the limo. Like I just want to say hi to everybody else, Vivian and Vera and CJ, trying to figure out how she can beat him to the punch. Ma'am, I don't know. He was been here before we were.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, Anthony
The
Anthony just be on the
countdown
page like
came.
where y'all at? As
right,
soon as that countdown comes, he's like, "Get!" So I'm gonna give you a little tip, CJ. You got to type your message in and
right.
have it waiting.
Some people
You
wait
can't be
Anthony to
waiting. You can't be starting to type once the countdown comes,
countdown
because
starts.
Anthony already he go press return. You got to have it. You got to be locked and loaded. You
In the
got to be sitting
queue.
there like a Jeopardy button, like
Right.
wait to come in. And that's the only way you're gonna make it happen. That is literally the only way you're going to make it happen. So um, you can try that, sis.
Why is
Um,
everybody's parents' Wi-Fi just janky as hell? Why
I
is it
don't
that you can't
know.
get good
It's
Wi-Fi
it's
over
I,
here?
crazy.
I was going to add that,
It's
Tom. I was going to
nuts.
say, and he has high speed internet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he got that good interwebs.
Yeah, good, good.
Shout out to Vivian Nash for being the first one on YouTube to make a comment. So we do recognize you for that.
Hi, sis.
Hey, Vivian Nash, that's right. You get the YouTube trophy.
Hmm.
But Anthony reigns supreme on Facebook.
Hmm.
It's just go. Y'all just gonna have to reconcile that. I don't know if Anthony.
Fight
You
for silver, because gold is gone.
you said fight for silver. Oh goodness gracious Lord! All right, y'all. We
You need to go in the back room. You making me itch.
Okay, I need some Vicks Vapo Rub. And she did tell me I need to rub it on my chest. Joy did tell me that if I did the old man cough, she was going to clown me. And she did.
I
True to her
will.
word, she actually did do that. Of course, we do have a lot to talk about this week. And I just wanted to say, Liz Rogers, the Creamalicious diva, apparently both she and her husband are rattlers. So that's just another reason
Wow.
to support. They have a national distribution deal. Out here in California, I've only been able to find the one flavor, which is the pecan pie flavor. And I can tell you, I haven't even done my Thomas Talking review, but it is delicious. That, that them ice creams, it is artisanal, it is French style. And sometimes you'd think like a pecan pie might just be like the random pecan thrown into a big old thing of vanilla. It's a lie. That is butter pecan ice cream with an intense caramel swirl. And when I say intense, my teethus hurt after I ate a spoonful of that
You
ice
got the
cream.
beat it.
Oh, the Beatus was like, yes, bitch. So I'm just telling you, it is some good ice cream. You can't even put that ice cream on another dessert because you would straight go into a coma. You can't put a scoop of that like on some pound cake or nothing. Nah,
No.
you got to just eat it just like it is.
Don't y'all
Um,
want Tom to be a food critic?
I mean,
Yes.
I am a bit of a food critic,
No,
but
like a
Mhm.
like
oh, legit. Well,
bona
I'd
fide.
be a
I would
black
say
food
legit
critic.
because you legit, right?
Hmm.
You saw me
I'll
try to push my words.
Right. I'll be a black food critic. I only want to support and uplift my people. So,
Right.
but
You can
if you
also
were
uplift your people by trashing other people's stuff and be like,
What?
you know, it was an alternative.
Yeah, this is
Good
trash.
Lord.
I could
This
do
is,
that. I could do
mhm.
that for real. But if you're in California, go to Ralph's and Food for Less. Those are their major distribution outlets. Apparently, Walmart also carries them, but in California at least, Ralph's and Food for Less, which are in the same corporate family, are the
Mhm.
ones who have been carrying it. But other people have all the flavors, and so I'm
Right.
jealous as hell for you East
Hmm.
Coast people.
I have heard of it in some places on the East Coast in Target as well, which everybody got a
Hmm.
Target somewhere.
Yeah,
And
everybody
they
got a
also
Target.
will do direct shipping from their website.
Oh wow! Like I
Mhm.
thought you could only do
Ice
that with
cream?
Bluebell and
Interesting.
stuff.
You're trying to be fancy. So while Tom is over there getting his hacking cough together, one of the things we want to talk about, the reason that we're talking about Cream Malicious and we all understand what happened is this Juneteenth celebration edition Juneteenth ice cream. Now I will tell you, everybody that's involved with this, there's some things I want to note about this container. It does have the red, black, and green on it. Good look. It does have multiple tones of black skin on it. Okay. Music always going to be a part of whatever we do. And if you look at the second, the dark skin wrist, the second one from the left, that flag, the star on it, that actually is the Juneteenth flag because Juneteenth does have a flag that goes with it. So whoever put that together did do some level of research to understand the symbology of Juneteenth.
Right.
I think the issue that most people had with it was the commercialization of the holiday we just got. But at the same time, Memorial Day is coming up, where we are supposed to honor the people who have given their lives in service to our country. And we usually honor it with a potato salad and a mattress sale. So we commodify everything. If anything, this was equal opportunity predatory commercialization.
Okay, can I
But we ain't got
also
That
time for
note
that.
that's what's a national holiday.
when
Mhm.
you look at the graphics, please note that we only got three fingers.
Okay.
I
Just
mean, so it's got a little Simpson-esque feel to it.
it's, yes, very Simpson adjacent.
Mhm.
And I will tell you, when I saw the colors on this, I know that they were doing Pan African colors and whatever, but I thought it was like collard greens and mac and cheese flavor because it was just like that's weird flavors to be putting on a package of ice cream. And then I only later why, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. Later, I found out that Sister Girl actually had the real deal with the Creamalicious. I dropped everything and I ran out and I tried to find it. I've been to four different stores so far,
Mhm.
and the Ralph's are the ones that have had it. But it's crazy because this woman was in some Walmart, so they knew something existed that they could have just promoted. It could have been a moment to shine the spotlight on an actual black entrepreneur who was actually creating a superior product. Just take a look. Great Value. Great Value is not a premium brand just because it's called Great Value. And
Mhm.
so, like when you go to Walmart, they have Little Debbie ice creams now. The Little Debbie ice creams are $2.50 a pint. So that's just carrageenan and trash. Sister's pints start at $6. Okay,
Six
so
dollars isn't that bad. I mean,
no, no, six
it's a
dollars
Haagen
is
Dazs price,
fine.
but yeah,
But I mean, but that's Haagen Dazs prices.
yeah. But I
So
mean, it's
the
not. You said it's artisanal, so
right, so it's worth it. Oh, I'm not
mhm,
complaining about the price at all. Give me
right,
some good ass ice cream, and it's
right.
great. So I'm
And to
not
anybody out
complaining.
there
It's a
that did a
bargain.
little at the $6, let's remember that we're talking about uplifting the race. And if you ever bought Ben and Jerry's or Haagen Dazs or Godiva, you can get some Creamalicious, and it's the
Or
same. It's
Also,
Starbucks.
also, thank you. Y'all be going to Starbucks every day spending $6 on a damn drink. You ain't gonna
mhm.
eat
Every
all this
day.
ice cream in one sitting, or you'll have a hospital bill. So
Well,
just
who you yelling at? Ain't nobody saying nothing.
okay. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
All right.
but let me tell you what I know about the conglomerate that is Walmart, and this is just on my previous time being in corporate America and having to deal with them on a national scale. They are going to make their buyers force their vendors to give the absolute lowest price possible. And because of that, a lot of their vendors will figure out how to cut corners and do whatever they can to maintain their own profit
Right.
margins. I know
That's right.
some of the companies that I was aware of or affiliated with, or however you want to put it, and their competition all would do their premium brand, their value brand, and then here's the stuff that we can private label for Walmart. Private label being Walmart's brand grade value. So a lot of things are made by the same people that make, Scope or the AIM toothpaste or toilet paper or regular soap, or something like that, where you have like your Tide, your Cheer, and then your great value brand. It's going to be something out of spec or not meeting the standards of, but the same machines, etc. But that's what they do. And not only that, they make sure that their buyers don't ever get too comfortable with the vendors. You've been talking to them for 6 months, switch. And I'm not beholden to them for any sort of non-disclosure, because I just know this from being in the industry. Anybody told me I couldn't say nothing. So the reason I bring all this up is that's their MO. They are there to make money. As a matter of fact, a case can be made that they are part of the dismantling of small businesses across the country because they force them out. If you have someone that's only doing produce and someone that's only a butcher and only a baker, and here comes Walmart with meat, bread, produce, TVs, barbecue grills, clothes, electronics, everything else, of course, for convenience, people are going to go there. But what quality are you really getting? So yeah, $6 for a pint of ice cream, real ice cream, and
Real.
not cream flavored soybean hydrogenated oil or whatever else. Yeah, go get you go get you some
All the
cream.
creamalicious. All the creamalicious. As a matter of fact, I might dip out just to go get the pint that is in the freezer so I could show you I ain't lying. I got 2 pints of the pecan just because I figured I was going to enjoy it so much. I might as well just get one, make sure it didn't get snaked off the shelf. So I got 2 pints in my refrigerator freezer.
Going on
So
a quest tomorrow.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? You best run out and get you some for this
For
for this
Memorial Day.
weekend. Yeah, for Memorial Day for the culture.
Yeah.
Speaking of really the top story, the story that has knocked every other thing, including the Georgia primaries, off the headlines this week, we have the horrific tragedy at Robb Elementary School. When, like most people, I think when this first came across my timeline, it was like 9 people and then 12 people injured. And by the time we got back to the next day, by the headlines the following morning, it was 19 children. And then is it 2 or 3 staff persons?
I
2.
think it was 2.
Two. So 21 people. And the news has only been getting more horrific as we come out. There was a mother who claimed that as she was trying to run in to save her children, she was handcuffed and detained. Eventually, a police officer that she knew, because this is a very small town, y'all.
Right.
This is and Matthew
50,000
McConaughey of
people.
all people is from this town, but she was able to get somebody to unhandcuff her, and she ran in to get her kids. But among the stories that we are hearing, and we are not asserting anything as absolute fact, but this is coming from multiple sources, is that there are certain people on the police force who went in to get their own kids instead of mobilizing directly to stop the shooter. And it's absolutely insane. And of course, and this is one of the rare instances where the shooter was not apprehended alive. He was indeed killed at the scene.
Yeah,
But
Salvador Ramos.
Right.
so and most of these most of the victims, most of the
He's not like
children
PC.
that he murdered were also Latinx kids. So that's an interesting piece of psychology right there. But Joy, I know that you have some commentary on the whole issue of mental health, and that always emerges in the midst of these sorts of incidents.
Yeah, this whole country needs therapy. Every single one of us, all of us included. However, there is a need for dealing with stress and hard issues and coping and socialization, etc. And then there's being a spoiled little bastard and deciding that you're going to do something final to other people to handle your temporary problem. And there's mental illness and there's radicalization of young people. And so I'm not sure if Salvador Ramos fits in that group or not, but it's very possible. We all are aware that there are a lot of Latinx people that sometimes, even though they may not visually be white presenting, do still mentally identify as white throughout the Latinx community. It is what it is. And so we will never know because he has lost his life. But as you've seen time and time again with the shooter in Buffalo, that is not an isolated incident. That is a data point of an ongoing problem. And it has very little to do with real mental illness and has a lot more to do with radicalizing someone who is upset with their lot in life. And there are millions of young, and I'm not talking young like 35, I'm talking young like 18, 16, 12 years old, middle American white people that are dissatisfied with their lot in life because the American dream, which is always a lie, has been sold to them, and they're trying to figure out, why doesn't my life look like that? Well, someone says your life doesn't look like that because those dark people over there are taking your job, stealing your woman, blah, blah, blah. They're making your life miserable. And if you would just get rid of those people, your life would be better. That is the same MO that was used in Nazi Germany. If you get rid of the Jews, your life will be better. And they exterminated millions of people. And so now here we find ourselves being scapegoated as people of color. It's their fault. You know, if the gays didn't want this, and if they get married, it ruins your life, and God wants you to do something about it. And if this woman has, agency over her body, it's just one more step into hell, and you got to save that. And then these black people coming around wanting reparations, and they're trying to bankrupt the company, they're trying to ruin everything. They're trying to ruin your life. And you can do something about it, young white man, because it's up to you as an exalted race to save everybody through violence. That is what radicalization does. And look at this: the shooter in Buffalo had been stopped by law enforcement and security guards for casing the store. And so it wasn't like he was unknown, but there's always, again, because of white supremacy's insidiousness, because people really do believe he's harmless, he ain't gonna do nothing, oh, he's just some little white boy, what's he gonna do in this neighborhood? Even black people see white people as less threatening. And if a black kid had been casing that store, they would have took him downtown. What are you into? Who or what gang are you affiliated with? Blah, blah, blah. White boy casing the same store. Wonder what he's up to. His parents better come get him. And we throw it off. And these white kids are being radicalized. They're being turned into weapons of mass destruction and allowed to wreak havoc outside their own neighborhoods in other places. He drove hours to go and murder these people and close down the only grocery store for like miles around, because that's a food desert in Buffalo where it happened. So now nobody is eating, so they're asking for donations of food and sundries because the one store that had produce in the area was closed. And apparently there is no Walmart over there, not big enough. So the reason I talk about all this, and I want to juxtapose it against mental health, is these people that commit heinous mass murders like this, they're not sick. They're infected. And there's a difference. There's a difference between a mental illness where you want to harm yourself or someone else and you are irrational, etc. This was thought out, it was planned, it was purposeful, and it's part of a bigger picture of erasure physically, mentally, historically, and permanently of people of color in this country. And until we face that and stop seeing this as a million lone wolves or wolves or whatever, we're going to continue to have this problem. Yeah, misunderstood, never a threat. Good boy from a good home. Well, if he was a good boy from a good home, what's he doing out here? Where were his parents?
Well, I'm going to separate the two issues, and I'm glad you pulled Buffalo into a conversation that Tom had focused on Texas. Mm-hmm. It almost seems like a year ago. That's just how frequent the news cycle transitions carnage, right? And it's not like Ukraine is not happening at the same time. But when you think of Buffalo, that was purely racism, purely deep centered, pass down the torch racism. I appreciated when you said the term infected, because he was radicalized online, right? an 18-year-old baby so filled with hate that he cased out the grocery store for weeks. He actually told the white lady that worked there that she was an in lover, right? After he had small talk with her, he actually apologized to a white person that he was about to shoot. Um, that type of human, right, is being birthed by social media, right? It's being infected by social media. I really like that choice of word, Joy. Um, everybody needs mental health. We just can't, we still infected by COVID, right? And we have now, it's normalized. It's like, oh, you got COVID. Oh, you got COVID. I mean, I've seen so many COVID outbreaks in the last 2 months that, yes, we're so glad you're no longer dying, but go get that fourth shot, right? To make sure we stay where we are. So there you have Buffalo with deep, deep seated hate that we can't keep a news cycle long enough to really have the full conversation. And then you have, and most of those people were senior citizens that were murdered. And then juxtaposed right next to it, you have babies that were just assassinated, right? For no known reason. And no matter what your reason is, there's no reason, right? They had his mother on TV today or yesterday, and she was incoherent in her thoughts, right? And you have to then wonder, why was he sent to live with his grandmother? Why is his mother apologizing to everybody, taking responsibility? But why did you send that boy to live with his grandmother when you had to know that he's out of control, or grandma just felt like she could save him because he shot his grandmother in the face? And they showed this picture and they didn't identify him, but I almost think they saw him walking into the school. And I'm still watching as much as I can just to understand, why target an elementary school? Why target babies? What did you have inside of you? What kind of human have you become? And it makes me think of your word, infect, Joy, right? And you want to understand, you want to find a reason. The indoctrinated racist child, we've seen enough of it. But what could this teenage boy, pretty much of the same community as a Latino man, assumably, well, his mother, I saw his mother speak, so I'm clear he's a Latino, to go to an elementary school that if he went there, we would know that by now, right? But to do that level harm, and then look at the state that it happened in. I mean, then to muddy all of that, you got Governor Abbott, just a complete jackass. And then the NRA's convention is this week. I mean, there's so many.
Texas tried to declare itself a gun sanctuary state. The guns have sanctuary.
Oh my God.
And the only reason the convention can't have guns is because the former president is coming.
But where are their Second Amendment rights?
What's right? Where's all the freedom now, Trump? So it makes it hard, really hard, for a decent human being to stay sane in these times. That's what I'm more worried about, because as all of these domestic issues play out, in the back of my mind, I still see Ukraine. I still see this modern day genocide happening, white people on white people, right? And you made mention of Hitler earlier, and I see a modern version of that happening. And then we have all this domestic terror. It's like the world, it's like the same pandemic we lived through for 2 years. It's a pandemic in inhumanity, right? There's no value of human life. There's no method of getting control before we completely implode ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to say that's my biggest fear.
And just as a on the same similar note, I'm wearing a shirt right now that says, matter of fact, you can get this from culturevibes.com. The shirt says, I match energy. So go ahead and decide how we gonna act. So that's the mood. That's
That's
my
hot.
mood 24/7. Oh, you
That's
want to
hot.
act up? Bring it. I am nothing but smoke up in here. This is
No mirrors.
98% smoke, 2% water. So, but one thing I also want to show you when we talk about people undergoing stress, feeling left out, feeling oppressed, feeling persecuted. Red Richardson on Twitter said this. I believe what a lot of people are taking offense to is connecting mental illness with mass shootings and their right to take offense. Do you know which demographic socioeconomically has the least access to mental health treatment? Black women. Do you know which
Mm.
demographic is the least likely to commit a mass shooting? Black women. On the flip side, do you know which demographic has the greatest access to health treatment and is still the most likely to commit mass shootings? White males. This is not a mental health problem. This is a white male patriarchy problem. This is more about racism, sexism, privilege, and entitlement than it is anything else. All the mental health treatment in the world is not going to stop a group of men whose society teaches that they have a historical, spiritual, and even moral right to exalt themselves above everyone else, and that it is heroic to exalt themselves by force. That's a
Oh,
whole
you
nother
just kicked
sermon.
me in my gut. You have
Mhm.
just kicked me in my gut.
Yeah,
It could
it's
that couldn't have been better said. That couldn't have
yeah.
been better said.
I had to get that big enough to read on one slide because it was a tall thing, and I knew we wouldn't be able to see the whole thing at once, and I wanted
Mhm.
people to be able to take that in.
Mhm.
You mentioned, Sharon, the NRA convention, and the interesting thing is that before this happened, it was obviously the same uniform wall of support that the NRA always receives from the GOP. But in the aftermath, some people have started to actually step away. So we had Governor Abbott, who instead of attending in person, he's going to send a video message. One of their performing acts, who is, almost a GOP clown, Lee Greenwood, has backed out of the convention as a performer. And even Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who is perhaps worse than Abbott, has decided that he is not going to make an appearance, just given the situation at home. And one of the Sharpies, thank you, because we do pay attention and trust
Mhm.
you, we got you. One of the Sharpies made reference to Beto O'Rourke challenging them at this press conference. So we want to play that clip for you right now. Here we go.
Excuse me.
Was after Santa Fe High
Sit down. You're out of line and an embarrassment.
was after El Paso.
Sit down and don't play this stuff.
The next shooting is right now, and you are doing nothing.
No,
We're all
he needs to
doing
get his
nothing.
ass out of here.
You
This
said
isn't the
is
place
not
to talk this
predictable.
over.
This is totally predictable when you.
Sir, you're out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Sir, you are out of line. Please leave this auditorium. I can't believe you're a sick son of a bitch that would come to a deal like this to make a political issue.
Okay, so let's be clear
Now,
about a couple of
think
things.
about the hypocrisy and the irony
Beto,
and the fucking
Beto,
capacity.
Beto is a sick son of a bitch for
Yeah.
telling them that you shouldn't have guns, that anybody can just take and show into a school, and you're calling him the politician, and that you're denying him his First Amendment rights, right? The Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. The First Amendment is the first, and you were government officials stifling conversation in a public forum.
That man was about to jump off that stage.
Well,
I mean,
jump
he
is a
was
lot. He might have
screaming.
fallen off the stage. He was way too big to jump anywhere.
I mean, he was out of control.
Yo, but that's the most Texas dude I've ever seen. Like that whole look, the overweight, the pudgy, the
Mhm.
Wilford Brimley stomach, the pants with the shirt pulled out so you can't see that the pants don't come up over his belly, the holster somewhere on his body, the cowboy hat. and the pointing of the finger. That is what I grew up seeing outside of my neighborhood in Houston. Because again, Houston is different. But we always say, once you leave Houston, you in Texas, and he is Texas. And that whole thing, get the hell out of here. How dare you try to, make a political moment out of this? You mean the whole lobby for guns, the political lobby for guns? The hell are you talking about?
Your whole
And
press conference.
it's been brought up in the chat, and we've talked about it amongst ourselves and some of my other friends. Is the same state that is now making itself a sanctuary for guns and trying to be the pro-gun state, and pound for pound has the most mass shootings of any other state, is also trying to force women to have babies. They just killed some babies, so they got to force you to have more. I mean, is this like the most dangerous game? Are you just turning into like a big game hunting state? I mean, is that what we're doing now? We're going to keep killing them until we can kill enough of the ones we don't want and replace them with the ones that we do. Tell me that's not methodical.
I just think the whole system is just totally out of their mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard because I remember where I was sitting when Sandy Hook happened, right? And I remember, I can't even believe it's been a decade ago, but somebody put something up in the chat that made I was so sad. I was so confused. Like, there has to be some change after Sandy Hook. And there wasn't much, right?
No.
But that was 10 years ago. I wasn't a mom 10 years ago, right?
There it is.
And I will tell you, I can only imagine the people back then, what they were going through, because that was the day before, this happened the day before my son's last day of school. And I took him to school. Al called me. I could hear it in his voice. I could hear the pain that he was going through as a dad with an elementary school kid. It's all these layers, of the feeling, because they're like the most innocent set of ages. But I pulled into his school. I pulled over. I went past the drop-off line, like I was going to leave. Like, I don't think I'm going to drop you off. There's no need for you to be here. But I pulled over. I got out the car. I took his picture. And I'm admitting this now because I think about it when I saw the person's comment in the chat. And I held him so tight after I took his picture, because you can't help but say, is this possibly the last time I might see my child? And I sat in the car and I just wept. I haven't even told Al this. I just wept because I can't imagine a decade ago what everybody went through, because I was going through it at that moment. And there's so much pain, the thought of, could this be the last time I see my child? So you got that level of trauma and anxiety that not only people that are living it, right? The community around them, and then the rest of us is just onlookers. Because we're no longer capable of saying, oh, that will never happen to us. Remember those days?
Yeah.
Oh, that would never happen to us.
Mm-hmm.
And just the human spirit, it makes me go back to your statements about mental health, and everybody is traumatized, right? Everybody. And I sat there, and I know my kid, he watched it, and you couldn't even isolate him from it. And he just hugged me back just as tight. It was not like, Mom, what are you doing? Right? It was, and then I called out like, you better be there, soon as drop off, because it's early release. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, he was right there in the line. I mean, you can't help but go through your own level of anxiety, especially the closer you get to the relatability of it, which made me say, well, what was I going through with Sandy Hook? And I wept, but it was such a policy issue then. And now, because people lived through Sandy Hook, and I don't know if people saw the interview with the 18-year-old who survived Sandy Hook. And when I say she ripped through my body, because I got all these friends with high school graduates and college students as an old chick mom, and I'm listening to their kids come to me because I'm not their parent. Like, I don't know why we're here. I mean, I have friends whose children have committed suicide as college students recently. right? So we got all of this trauma, all these levels. And
Don't
most of
forget
the
the
reason
police
is
brutality and worrying that you won't see your son again because he decided to go for
because
some
of that.
soda.
You know, you literally have to compartmentalize your trauma. It's like, oh, this week I'm focused on mass shooters. Oh, next week I'm focused on a police pulling my child over. The next, when does it stop?
It doesn't.
When does it stop?
It doesn't. And think about, you said your son, I'm sorry for further traumatizing you because I know this is hard to talk about. But if you think about your son hugging you back because he knew a lot was going on and he knew why you were hugging him and having that feeling in him, and then growing up with the oppression of always being seen as second class, always this, and then graduating at the top of your class with all these accolades at 18 or college at 22 and still being seen as an N-word when some cop decides the car you drive is too fancy for you, and then that does, so the stress and fear that you have is inherited in him unless something drastic and radical changes within a generation. And unfortunately, I just don't see that happening, not on the trajectory that we're on now.
But
Unless
then
we,
you got the
unless
eight.
we reach a tipping
So
point and do go into a
yeah,
whole
it's
Gilead level war, I don't see it changing.
and then
Because
I
the
think about
Democrats
the
or the
sister.
Republicans, neither one of them care enough. Both of them have had a chance to do something about this and get the glory for it, and neither of them have taken it.
And then it goes back to that sister Joy, who said if we only wanted revenge. You know,
Right.
I mean,
They need to be
all
glad
of
we
it,
just
I mean,
asking
why
for freedom and
are
not
all these
revenge.
thoughts in our heads? Why are all these thoughts? Why are all these different scenarios coming up in our thought process? Because we're traumatized. Last 3 years in this country in particular, it's just one trauma after another trauma after another trauma. And it is too much. It is too much.
Man, I hadn't even thought about this.
Right.
So Sandy Hook was 10 years ago. We started doing active shooter drills. The people, like you said, 18 years old, they've been doing active shooter drills their whole young life. They would know how to get around them.
And you have people like Ted Cruz talking about the solution is to have one entrance into a school in and out.
Because that's not a fire hazard.
What, not only is it not a fire hazard, but any person, my dad is an active duty veteran. You call that a kill zone. You create a false flag distraction and start to get the kids coming out of the single room. It's Kent State all over again. You just have a sniper waiting. You make a bomb threat. Hey, there's a bomb in the school. Okay, let's get the kids out. And then what happens? Because they're in a kill box because there's only one place for them to go. And here's Ted Cruz talking about this, that, and the third. Listen, my wife is a music teacher. And because music education isn't as highly prized as it once was, just like wood shop and all these other things that I and probably a bunch of other listeners did when they were in high school, she has to be a music teacher at a bunch of different schools. And so if there were a situation where, these rash of school shootings were, copycats, whatever, she would be at even more risk than anybody because she's dancing around to 6 different schools. Mm-hmm. And none of these people are, in our state, Gavin Newsom is obviously, pushing heavy and hard for, assault rifle bans and da-da-da-da-da because we're California and that's the way California rolls. But in these other places, I was born in Texas. I have lived in Florida. And these folks and what they consider and what they think about and how they value lives is just absolutely ridiculous. And these are children, and I point back to this whole right to life and pro-life and all of these other things, and I got into quite a heated discussion with my brother on my page. My brother is a Catholic priest, and so he has a battle-hardened position on the issue of abortion. But I proposed the question of when are we going to see pro-lifers boycotting outside of gun stores? Like they do out of Planned Parenthood. And he tried to say that was a false comparison and da 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 da. And we kind of got into it quite a bit.
Mhm.
But the point is that you can't, on the one hand, claim that you are obsessed and concerned with the sanctity of fetal life, and in the
But
same
fucking
time,
elementary school kids.
and support laws that allow guns are made for one purpose: to kill humans and animals. It's a side, if you like to shoot bottles and do target
Mhm.
shooting for the Olympics, the biathlon or whatever, that's a byproduct. But the gun was not created to shoot targets. The gun
It
was
is a
created to
murdering
shoot
weapon.
living things. And you can't tell me that the quote unquote right to bear arms is more important than what the inalienable rights are that are illuminated
Yeah.
at the top of that document:
Mhm.
life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not life, liberty, and your big ass gun magazine.
Right.
Three things are endowed by our creator as unalienable, and everything else, and not only to not to get on too far of a tangent, but well regulated militia. This 18-year-old who bought a gun as soon as he was 18 was not a part of any sort of well regulated anything. He just went to go kill. And yes, CJ, that was my
CJ, I
brother's point.
really appreciate that.
They are
Mhm.
saying they're anti-abortion, but anti-abortion doesn't sound as nice as pro-life, and so the PR team chose the pro-life.
Mhm.
But that was my brother legitimately said no, they aren't really pro-life. They're just anti-abortion. They just don't want these babies to be killed. But the inevitable consequence of the babies not being killed is what's going to happen to them. They've got to live, right?
Mhm.
Well, it's an interesting time, Tom,
It is.
to for the quote unquote anti-abortion movement to be
Mhm.
trying to gain full power and this type of carnage happen. I
Mhm.
think that God, we can come so many circles with this thing. I
Mhm.
think that's why there's an attempt. We're gonna see how it goes in the next 2 to 3 weeks. There's an attempt for them because the hypocrisy that you are pro-life and not willing to say you're just anti-abortion, right? When you're allowing these assault weapons to exist, that is
And the
the total
Mhm.
antithesis of pro-life,
And here's the
right?
killer. Well, that's a terrible choice of word. Here's the other issue is that a lot of people that are in the NRA are also in favor of reasonable gun control laws. They're not looking for the wild wild west. The wild wild west didn't have AK-47s and assault rifles. You had a six shooter revolver if you had money. Otherwise, you was throwing machetes and you had like a one shot pistol or whatever. And so the idea that the NRA is, protecting American liberties and rights, this is ridiculous to begin with. And the idea of hunters, my dad was a hunter. My dad, we had guns all over the house. I know he had a gun under the mattress because I used to have to change the sheets on the bed. I get that, but it was pistols, it was 9mm revolvers, etc. It was a few hunting rifles, no assault weapons, nothing that started with an A. And so it is a clear delineation between something that is an assault rifle, hunting gun, elk gun, deer gun, all those different types. And most of the people that are in the NRA are totally in favor of, all right, yeah, background checks. We don't need AK-47s. Most of them don't even have them, but then they keep them for sale because there's somebody making money off of not only the sale of these guns, but the terror that it causes. Because now you got people like, we need to bunk up the police. We need to do this. We got to protect this. Let's throw all this money at someone that says they have a solution. And the solution is usually, well, let's arm the teachers. I mean, it's real stupid shit. But I want to go back to this comment by Vera. Nothing is certain. Laws, rights aren't secure. Voting, Roe v. Wade, all of this is up in the air. So let me give you a scenario. Imagine, if you will, that you are adrift at sea and you don't see anybody for miles around. You don't know where the shore is. You don't know which direction it is. It's dark. You can't even see where the sun is right now. You are lost, right? It's chaos to you. And someone throws you, a boat comes by and throws you a rope. The rope is made of poison ivy. You grab the rope because it looks like a better option than the chaos that you are in now. And so for our country, we are in chaos right now. We don't see the light. We don't see shoreline. We are all adrift at different points in the ocean, and they are throwing us poison ivy because they know we'll take it just for the illusion of stability, the illusion of safety, the illusion of this is better than nothing. Think about how many of us the last time we voted weren't pro Biden, but anti chaos. The more we do this, the more people will give up. People, it's a Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I talk about this all the time. At the bottom of that triangle is food, shelter, water, freedom from harm. You convince people that some of this is missing. Food deserts, recalls on stuff. There's poor water, there's nothing here. And you got, personal bodily injury that is looming all the time. You will give up your salary. You will give up your freedoms. You will give up your right to freedom of expression. You will give up everything to stay safe. And that is where we are headed if we don't wake up nationally and stop picking things to vote on. That's really what it comes down to. There are certain things that the Republicans of the current iteration of Republicans have chosen that they know are sticking points for people who turn a blind eye to anything else. I don't want to think about this because I'm all about this one thing and all the other add-ons to the bills that they allow to get passed. Like, well, but this is my guy because we'll just use, he's anti-abortion or he's pro-life or whatever. That's my person because I'm a good Christian and blah, blah, blah. You ignore all the other rights and freedoms that you're giving up because that is your poison ivy vote. Right. And I'm just going to hold on to this because this feels better than the chaos that ensues if I don't hold on to this. And that's what fear does to people. Fear makes you give up everything else to not be afraid. And think about how often we've talked about the trauma that we're going through right now. And this is why it's so easy to radicalize young white men because they are fearful too. They're fearful of things that they've been indoctrinated to believe. Some of their fears are unfounded, but it's a fear nonetheless. And they give up sometimes their lives in order to try and do something to exert some control over their environment. But it's enough of them and enough guns. There's more guns than people in the United States. It's enough of them and enough guns, enough bullets to murder a whole generation before we learn the lesson of not grabbing onto that poison ivy. That's the problem.
I don't know if I'm misremembering something, but I was under the impression that the NRA actually gets a little piece of every gun sold in the United States. Like it's kind of like a special tax or some sort of special carve out in the licensing or whatever of legally sold weapons that the NRA actually gets like a little bit of a kickback, which of course is an incentive for them to keep all sorts of restrictions about gun ownership out of the way, because perish forbid that they would prevent their executive director from buying $4,000 suits and whatnot before he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar. One of the other things that's interesting about the pro-life anti-abortion issue, especially in light of how things are going with Roe v. Wade at the moment, I don't know if many people are aware, because I had to do this research when I was talking back and forth with my brother. Do y'all know that the abortion rate now in this country is less than when Roe versus Wade was incorporated? There was a spike at the beginning when abortion became legal, but since then, since 2014, I think actually, and it's continued to go even lower since then, that the abortion rate is almost half of what it was in the era of Roe v. Wade. That's how significantly societal changes and support and just people, reconsidering their options, women being given a choice, they can make informed decisions and they can seek out the sort of support that they might need, that they have better opportunities, things have changed, paid leave, all of these sorts of things that help to contribute and make it easier for families, especially women, to take care of their families and take care of their babies in the immediate aftermath of birth. Society changed and allowed women to receive some of the support that they need, and consequently the abortion rate has gone down. now. That's something to be celebrated.
If they would take the time to celebrate that, and I'll do you one better, abortion rates are lower on average in countries where abortion is easily accessible than in
Mm-hmm.
other countries where it's restricted.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that, part and parcel, because you can't look at it in a vacuum, part and parcel of that is the access to sex education.
Mm-hmm.
And because we still have these puritanical vestiges all around us, Elizabethan Great Britain just went around the world telling everybody sex was dirty and you're going to hell if you have bad thoughts. It wasn't always like that. Um, Side note, now come right back. A lot of communities of color and cultures of color had not only sexual expression. Let's look at the Kama Sutra, which is thousands of years old, but also gender fluidity. And so the advent of European colonialism squashed a lot of that with their brand of Christianity. So now, going back to what I was talking about with sex education. Sex ed is not about not teaching kids how to have sex, because they're going to do that anyway. They're going to figure it out. Sex education is about how to protect yourself, how to understand your own body, how to recognize that what you're feeling, if you're 17, 18, 12 years old, however you might be, because, young boys start experimenting much earlier than young girls because there's a stigma around it. A lot of women I know that are in their 40s can't even diagram their own bodies, right? And all of this is because we have this stigma around sex being bad, but then they go out there and they have it. And so along with the push of, the Roe v. Wade becoming a thing, and sex education, Planned Parenthood, being able to get condoms wasn't always as easy as it is now. Being able to get birth control pills wasn't always as easy as it is now. And so all of that goes along with lowering the abortion rate because people are choosing to be preventative in the first place. And so to think that overturning Roe won't overturn Plan B and also overturn birth control pills, and the next thing you know, condoms are going to be a thing. Then you're going to see the abortion rate rise because people gonna bang. If you want to talk about biblical verses, go forth and multiply, be fruitful, populate the earth. God's put nerves in your body to make you want to go get it. You're gonna get it no matter what. And if you don't know how to get it without getting pregnant or getting someone pregnant, you're going to see a whole lot of coat hanger emergency room situations over and over again.
I don't even think it's that complicated. I think that whatever brief got leaked by the Supreme Court that started this whole upheaval was somebody's own moment of opportunity to create more chaos, right? We got CRT, we got abortion. Just wait. It's weeks away for the big immigration issue, right? You got don't say gay. Those are the four major wedge issues in the country, right? And 3 out of 4 is at maximum volume right now. Nobody broke down the abortion issue for me better than Nancy Pelosi last Sunday. It changed my trajectory of my personal life, totally unrelated to the issue, when she was like, look, I'm Catholic. I've had 5 children in 6 years and 1 week. And I was like, what did she just say? She actually counted from the time of her first child to her last child that she had 5 children in 6 years and 1 week. So without ever saying the pro-life word, she made it clear. I'm Catholic. I got 5 children, 6 years old. But this is not... She said, this ain't got nothing to do with, she wouldn't even say the A word, right? She was very strategic in her 80-something-year-old wisdom. She said, this is about not retracting rights, but expanding them. And they're doing everything they can to shrink our rights. This is the conversation that people just keep saying abortion. And I hate the word. I hate even hearing it, right? Because it really is about privacy. Mm-hmm. It really is about a woman's ability to determine her future the way she so chooses. We haven't even had the right to vote a century, Joy. We haven't always had control of anything. If it wasn't a man's decision on how we still don't have equitable income, right? And When she broke it down in her 80-year wisdom, she was like, don't y'all see this is just about turning the clock back? Just put any issue in front of it that they're trying to extract your rights, right? She was like, you're trying to shrink instead of expand. And she was doing all of this. And I'm looking at this 80-year-old brilliance, right? Shedding light on people you're having the conversation the wrong way. Mm-hmm. Right? You're talking about something that's polarizing just by the word, right? It's just like how racism, they react to the word racism, is the way people react to the word abortion, right? And when a sister said, I'm pro-life, but I'm also pro-choice, right? I give you the right and don't want to have an opinion of the right on how you choose. The same way I could say my position, I don't want your opinion in it. So when the whole concept of privacy, and she was so much more eloquent about it, and then of course, as soon as she didn't even go home, priest is going to project that hypocrisy that she can't take sacrament. She was like, okay, I'll take it to DC, right? I mean, is everybody just filled with madness? Now, I do want to do a station identification break before we go on. If you are watching our show, I saw a couple people said it's too much. Please give yourself a hug right now. I mean, I'm all about personal hugs, right? We're throwing you a big hug. If you're home alone, go get a glass of wine. I just want, Joy, can we do breathing exercises? Thank you. Joy is drinking with you. Let's just give everybody an opportunity to breathe, because this is quite heavy.
What do y'all know about box breathing? Sometimes it's a term used with in the military, but it is a way to calm yourself to be steady. And so box breathing is, if I remember correctly, breathe in for a couple of beats, hold it for a couple of beats, breathe out, hold it. So it's like in, hold, out, hold, but a little bit slower. So I'm gonna be doing this. We're gonna box breathe together. All right. So in, hold, out, hold, in, out.
One more time.
Keep doing that. And like just air, oxygen is life. Oxygen and water and carbon are the things that you need to live. And so the better that you can control your breathing, it affects your heart rate, it affects the dilation of your blood vessels. It can positively
affect drinking wine tonight, pull out this bottle of water.
Yep. This is why when people drink a lot of alcohol and pass out and they drink and they start to snore, listen to them snore.
That's why I'm pro red wine. Go get you some red wine.
Antioxidants. Yeah, but you cannot live this. And take it from me, because I burned out last year behind all of the DE&I work that I was doing. I would cry every day. It wasn't even something happening every day, but I talked about it incessantly. I still talk about it. It's what I do for a living. And I do it because I love my people and I love everybody else. And I am the queen of intersectionality. Like I try to get everybody in everywhere I can, but it's exhausting. And I know I'm prepped for this. I know what I'm walking into. And for everybody else that just gets blindsided with this on the way to work or turning their computer in the morning and seeing this, and you're not ready to deal with it, you don't have to deal with it. We don't have to keep re-traumatizing ourselves just to be up on the news. Get that digest on Friday. You don't have to live this every day. Okay? Go lay down.
Lay down.
I'm about to go lay down. Sometimes you got to take a break.
You do.
Like, if any of you follow me on my personal page on Facebook, you'll see that I didn't post about any of this because I couldn't. I was too busy dealing with the fallout from corporations wanting to understand how they talk to their people about this, because they're trying to find someone that can lead a conversation so the people at work can get it off their chest. I'm doing that. Y'all got this on Facebook. I'm gonna be asleep or reading a book that has nothing to do with this world, so find a way to calm yourself as I drink this wine.
I think that this mental health, and it's such a blessing that in the last several years, growing up as a black person in this country, mental health wasn't a thing that our families addressed. Sometimes a person was touched, or sometimes a person was just somebody you just, you don't let them alone with kids or whatever. But we had alcoholism and drug abuse and other sorts of coping mechanisms that became kind of de facto aspects of our culture because we did not have access to and were not seeking mental health support. And it's a wonderful blessing now that that is being recognized as something that is legitimate in a space of concern that we should be seeking and that we should be paying attention to in our communities. I think that's an outstanding byproduct of some of the factors and forces that are a part of the conversation these days. And and we do have other stuff to talk about. And so I want to do that. I know that our Sharpies keep on top of us and they have some expectations that we are going to be covering things. And one of the things that we said that we were going to cover is adjacent to this, but is also touching on the Georgia primaries. And we had Herschel Walker, who is demonstrating every day why he is refusing to participate in debates, because uh, I think if someone were to ask Herschel Walker about debates, he might say that's the hotel where Psycho took place. So, in the aftermath of gun control, this is what everybody's favorite former NFL and USFL star had to say.
See, that is a person wielding that weapon. Cain killed Abel. And that's the problem that we have. And I said, what we need to do is look into how we can stop those things. He talked about doing a disinformation. What about getting a department that can look at young men that's looking at women that's looking at just social media? What about doing that, looking into things like that, and we can stop that way? But yet they want to just continue to talk about taking away your constitutional rights. And I think there's more things we need to look into. This has been happening for years, and the way we stop it, by putting money into the mental health field, by putting money into other departments rather than departments that want to take away your rights.
I just want somebody to buy radio ads and play that in loop
A loop.
to the election day.
It, y'all,
A mutant.
I
Oh my
I
Lord, have
just
mercy.
I just yeah, that keep the mic in his
in his
face.
face.
Yeah, keep the mic in his face. I have to say,
Y'all, he won. He won the
but let's
GOP
but
nomination.
let's be clear, Sharon, because we talked about this months ago, right? When we were talking about whether or not Herschel
Didn't I
Walker
tell
could
y'all?
actually
You
win.
like, I can't.
No. It's the primary. I figured was a foregone conclusion because he had Trump's backing and he's a celebrity. So, and he's going up against a black man. So they figured we might as well put a black up against
This
a
is
black. But he is a
Thank you, Trump, for
nightmare.
imploding your party.
Right.
Thank
He
you.
is a nightmare. And I know that there are some people, but the racists already only have a choice to vote for a black man. So you got to vote for a black man
The
who
one
is
that can be
absolutely
controlled.
nonsensical, or
They're
vote
not
for a
going to
black
do
man
that.
who at least has sense.
They're not
And so
going to
if
do
you
that.
stay away from the polls because you can't bring yourself to vote for that, I'm going to use restraint. I'm not going to say what I wanted to say. If you find yourself compelled to vote for that man, that person, then more power to you. But it's going to be enough. They're going to stay away.
He is the Sarah Palin of Georgia.
Ooh.
I mean, Sarah Palin was cute though.
Was she?
Well, he's still Herschel Walker.
Yeah, he's.
I know a
But
lot of people that had
Curtis
Herschel
on
Walker
YouTube had a
shirt.
good question. You lost to that. What do you do
I
when you
love
wake up in the
that.
morning and look in the mirror and like, I lost to
And
that?
all those people that lost to him will be voting for Warnock.
Yeah, it's a lot. That was an awful lot. And the other thing, we danced around this because there was no certitude of it at the time that we posted. But Herschel's son coming out and stating his preference is not going to help him very much either. That's just the way it is. It is still the South. It is still Georgia,
Mhm.
and
My
and
namesake called him a hanky head. Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
I
Lord,
she
I
said,
just
uh,
ufa shira la
Dr.
tajera.
Dr. Campbell Waters called
I
him
Wow.
mean,
a
I ain't
hanky
mad.
head.
Yeah, that's a lot.
But I mean, it's gonna be interesting here in Georgia. I know
It
that
will
first
be.
of all, I want Act Blue to stop blowing up my phone like my ex-boyfriend. Like, yo, you ain't getting nothing else out of me, yo. Stop it. But I have given to every campaign that I could give to multiple times. Y'all doing grassroots here. Look, here's all the grass I got.
Yeah, you know what, Joy? I need to say this. First of all, half of Raphael Warnock's emails still are referring to me as Kenneth. I responded to the one that
You are
actually
back
called
on
me
this.
Thomas. And Raphael, Senator, Reverend Dr. Warnock, I am giving you $5 a month. That's all you're gonna get. You got $5 a month through the campaign. That's what you
You
got.
do know on your text messages, all you have to type is the word stop.
I you
And that
know
thread,
You
you might be
you
missing
have
out
to
on
type
something.
stop,
You
but you
can
also
type
have to
stop.
stop giving. That's the other problem. Is like I typed stop, and then I saw Stacey. It was like, let me break Stacey off some money, and they started all over again. And I was like,
again,
stop, and then
It's,
like, all
if
right,
it's
let
they
me get a
get
Stacey
their
little for
hooks
Warnock.
into
Valdeming. It's
you,
Stacey Valdeming. It's Stacey Valdeming. And I get it 3 to 4 times a day.
I get Val
Not
Demings too, because I used
once
to live in Florida.
a
Mhm.
day, right?
I give
oh
out some
no,
money
I
too.
got it. I got it. It's they the trifecta plus Nancy. Kenneth, I can't
No.
believe you're not responding. It's because my name is not Kenneth.
Oh,
My
If
name
you
is
don't
Lord.
stop
not
Nancy
Kenneth.
Pelosi, I swear to
All the Kenneth
God.
ones, you need to type the word stop. All the
That's true.
Kenneth
You
ones.
right. You
You
right.
gotta type the word. They'll figure it out.
They will.
You cannot allow that disrespect, Tom.
I am disrespected. I am
But
disrespected.
Joy,
And
I strongly believe that Georgia has its act together. I have high, high, high hopes for y'all. I think y'all are disciplined. I'm speaking it out into the ethernet, right? I think y'all are disciplined. I feel like you all are focused. They can keep on emailing me because they say my name right and texting me, but I think you all
sorry, Alvin.
got it together. And
Now,
I am so hopeful. I am so
mhm,
hopeful for the sun to just rise heavily,
mhm,
especially and this is what I will be overjoyed with. We can sit here and mock Herschel Walker. He is the Sarah Palin of Georgia, right? And I have to believe that the Republican Party, all factions, cannot expect to be represented by him no more than they were willing to be represented by her.
mhm,
Now, if I'm wrong, whoo, Lottie, I think that the discipline with Stacey being at the top of the ticket,
mhm.
Warnock's juxtaposition to Herschel Walker, right? I
Yeah,
think he's going to run a, oh, poor thing, brother. Okay. He is a
he's gonna run.
preacher.
I'm gonna pray for you
I'm a
campaign. Mhm.
hands on you, right? And Herschel going to take a swing at him, right? Because one thing they're not being successful with is keeping the mic from him, right? I
Mhm.
really thought that was going to be the play. But for
Right.
him to get on Fox News, like there is right wingers, there's insurrectionists, and then there's clutching their pearls, right? He is a total pearl clutching experience. It's like if you're
Mhm.
gonna be a Negro, they always say we always have to overperform,
Mhm.
at least
Unless they
intelligently.
want you to be entertainment.
That's painful. There's
Painful to us.
Herman Cain is entertaining. was, God bless the dead, that COVID, Herman Cain was entertaining. That buffoonery, that demonstration of unintelligence, right? That form of overt vomiting of nonsense, right? All I can equate him with is Sarah Palin. Now,
Now,
the
I
woman
see a lot of
go ahead, Joy.
I see a lot of people in the chat saying, CTE and brain damage, et cetera, et cetera. Lay off of that. And I'm going to tell you why. I do believe that he has suffered from brain trauma from his time in the NFL. I think that that is absolutely true or possible. I don't know if he's been diagnosed or not. However, if we keep pushing that forward on the, Democratic or liberal or left side, oh, he's brain damaged, CTE, he can't blah, blah, blah. We are becoming ableist. And they can start to spin that against the Democratic Party by saying, look at them discriminating against this man who has this cranial or brain injury. He's just as able. What is the Democrats are ableist now? Don't let them do that. So let's not talk about him from saying he's brain damaged or whatever. Let's just say that he is unfit for office because he doesn't know anything. That has nothing to do with his cognitive ability. He just never learned civics. That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, I okay. I will just say Dante's Inferno and the various circles of hell. You are mocking me right now, and that is not necessary.
You're
I
right.
will just say that as far as I'm concerned, we will see. We will see the tension between the inherent racism that lives in this country, not just in Georgia, but in the Georgia voters in particularly, the tension between the racism and the party ideology and who their choices are. Purdue thought he was going to, he was shocked. He was shocked and amazed when he lost. I don't know if did Warnock beat the former WNBA owner and Ossoff beat Purdue?
Yeah.
So Purdue could not believe he lost to one of those LGBTQ persons.
Legitimate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
legitimate.
Legitimate.
He couldn't believe it. And then he thought he was going to walk into the governor's race because Senior Trump had anointed him with the blood of the lamb, and he was going to walk all over Kemp because Kemp had been destroyed by Trump. And he sat there and he felt so confident in his ability, his inevitability of his win, he decided to literally talk cash shit about black women the week before the election, and he got beat by 50 points. I mean, that is a dragging.
He got trounced.
That is a dragging.
Clount.
I mean, and so you had the inevitability of the strength of white supremacy, male cis het white supremacy, that he thought was going to carry him over the finish line. And now you've got a situation where you've got a literal black man with a compromised intellect, just based on what he's communicating, not based on any, ableist sort of doctrine, just words that are coming out of his mouth,
Yes.
who fits the stereotype phenotype of, let's say, one of our relatives in the genetic branching of the tree. I'm just gonna say,
you go straight to hell.
I'm just saying, you think about the tropes that they have put out about us, and you look at Herschel Walker, barely got a neck, real thick shoulders. I'm just saying,
But that's the thing about, like, and I'll let you get back to it, but that's the thing about true racists. They don't see any difference between Barack Obama and Herschel Walker because they're
Correct.
both N-words. And so
Correct.
as far as they're concerned, he's just as good as any other N-word out here. They don't look at content of character or abilities or whatever that is like, we need a blacken. You can put a blacken up there, good enough. And
Right.
that's when they completely erase your identity and reduce you to a melanin amount, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
And you're right, Paul. Bubba Gump was way more articulate, way more.
Well, yeah, Bubba. Coconut shrimp, uh, barbecue shrimp,
Look,
uh,
I'm here for all the shrimp, right?
all of them, all of the shrimp. Just make sure you clean them efficiently.
Next.
I'm sorry, Rafi. The man has no neck, though. So let's talk about some of the other things. One of the favorite things that we have in the show is when we find somebody on the internet who has some brilliant things to say. And this was Joy's week. She found a whole bunch of stuff, and there's two sisters who really brought it on home for Joy, and so we captured their moments here. And this one has both some historical perspective, which is one of Chuck's favorite things, but also classical music. So please enjoy.
You ever think about the Night of Long Knives? On the evening of June 30th, 1934, a newly elected Chancellor Adolf Hitler ordered a purge of the Nazi Party in an effort to consolidate his power. The official death toll was 85 people, but it could be estimated that 1,000 people were executed and 1,000 more arrested, all because Adolf Hitler perceived them as a threat to his power. Can you imagine being executed by the very movement you worked so hard to push into national prominence? All because the demagogue whose power you helped to secure no longer has a use for you? I don't know. It just seems like a historical lesson that marginalized people on the right should take note of.
It's the eyes to camera for me at the very end. And can I tell you how relaxed she looked with her hand perched on her chin on that bed? She was like, long knives, y'all. Google it. Y'all all got the Google.
The Night of Long
The
Knives. You should
Night
look
of
it up.
Long Knives. Look it up.
But
I mean, it's the Valentine's Day massacre of German political history.
yeah, but I mean, she's got a point.
A
The
pointy long knife.
the Nazi party was not homogeneous until he got in there and he ousted a lot of people that supported him or at least didn't stand in his way or whatever because he wanted it to look a certain way. And we see the same thing happening. Look at how many Republicans have bent the knee to Trump and how many have seen repercussions for not doing so. And even though he is completely out of office, he still wields a lot of power and they're still to some effect purging. This one isn't real. Like, look at what he did to the elections in Georgia. Yes, Ossoff and Warnock are in now, and we did do our job from a voting standpoint. But a lot of that was because the people that he convinced not to vote for their own party followed him into oblivion during the
Well,
last election.
Joy, they may do it again because he is 0 for 3. All he got was Herschel, right? All the people he tried to run against got elected, right? There was no real competition in the Herschel race. They gave them Herschel. So let's play out what you just said. So when they go for Kemp and Raffenberger, what's his name? Did I say it right?
Raffenberger?
Raffenberger, yeah.
Raffenberger.
He ain't playing that.
If he leads a protest to not vote for them and his people stays home, right? He can't tell them to don't vote for them and they stay home because he need them to vote for Herschel. So they not that swift. They just gonna stay home because that's an excuse with Herschel because they're embarrassed anyway. So all we need is 5-6% of those people to buy into his diatribe against Kemp, particular, because he really lost on Kemp because he ran Purdue really, really hard. So if that disgruntled faction, we might sweep.
It's possible Georgia could go all the way blue and not just purple. I'm interested to see what happens in Texas. I'm real. It's Texas because Texas got a whole lot of college towns and a whole lot of just got the right to vote college age women looking at Gilead coming down the pike. I'm interested to see what happens in the state of Texas with this next round of elections, especially on the heels of a refusal. It's not an inability, a refusal to exercise even any local gun sensibility in a state that is now safer for guns than pregnant women.
Well, Abbott is very vulnerable, right?
Yeah, he is.
And his henchman on that stage, Beto's the person that needs to increase his security. Because Beto is being real bold.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Texas is as far along as Georgia is.
No,
but
not even
right now they're there's an opportunity here. I do agree with you.
You got to understand, Stacey been doing what she's doing since we graduated Spelman in like 95. Like she's been doing this since she started doing. I met her when she was 18 and she was this person. She's been on this track for 30 years. And Texas is like, we need a Stacey. Y'all needed a Stacey 30 years ago. And so they're at least 30, 35 years behind.
Well, Stacey's emblematic of our ancestors. I actually disagree with you there,
Okay.
right? We want everything to be microwave. We want everything to be election cycle to election cycle. Everything you said about Stacey is spot on. And no one could see her until she ran for governor. Well, she always won locally.
Yeah.
She became the leader, right?
Yeah.
But she is emblematic, and her attitude, yeah, she was opportunistic, wanting to be the VP, wanting to be in the pipeline. To her is like,
why not? Yeah.
Exactly. But I think about all the negatives that were thrown at her to see that she was truly the tortoise and has probably been the tortoise for all these decades. She stayed the course. She mastered her strategy. And then she didn't fumble these last 4 years, right? She is papery right now. She got her house in order. She analyzed her mistakes. She owned her mistakes and she didn't cry about it. She went and took these 4 years to make the best Stacey she could be. She's even a better candidate now than she was back then.
That's true.
Right? So I value stay the course. I value slow and steady, right? Because nothing that lasts happens overnight.
So we agree.
I'm saying we agree. I'm saying it wasn't time before that. She had to do all of that. That's I was being sarcastic when I said that, but she stayed the course. We couldn't see a greatness in a Black woman really before George Floyd in a major way, but even during 2018, because 2018 was a unique period where that generation of people, even though everybody lost across the board, right? She's the one that's coming up like this because she stayed the course.
The front of the wedge. Yeah.
That's right. And never changed her messaging. And by the way, for the people who are saying that Stacey Abrams never conceded, that is actually not accurate. She did state that Brian Kemp was the governor, but she did question the corrupt practices which got him that seat. So she did concede that he is the governor, which is something that Trump has never done. So let's be clear about that. And also, to both of your points, she moved forward. She didn't drop the ball. She said, "I need to organize. I need to get my infrastructure together." And she did it. And now she's here, and she is in a much better position to do even more. But we were not done. That long knives was phase one. We got another sister who's bringing the heat, and this is Morgan.
Is a young girl. She's like college age right now.
Yeah, she's college age right now. And let's be clear, this is the other problem that we face in this country as it pertains to the insidiousness of racism, especially as it pertains to academia. They try to present this scenario as though academe is some bastion of left-wing, radicalist, Antifa adjacent, whatever. It's plenty of y'all.
Yeah.
It's plenty of y'all. Here it is.
One of the more unassuming parts of being black in America is not necessarily knowing how close in proximity you are to somebody who genuinely wishes you didn't exist on this planet, right? Or they believe that you are a part of the problem as to why the United States is the way that it is, right? Why do I bring that up? Because I just found out yesterday that a current professor of marketing at my alma mater, the University of Notre Dame, wrote an article 10 years ago. And in that article, he talks about how the real racial problem in this country is not white people committing hate crimes against black people, like he referenced Trayvon Martin in the article. No, it's the disproportionate number of black people committing heinous crimes against white people. And that black people should be forever grateful to white people because, look, they gave you affirmative action. They gave up a majority of their ethnic control so that you could be seen as like a human. And while that egregiously heinous article is enough to prove my point, let me prove it even further. That article recently was resurfaced and cited in the 180-page manifesto that an 18-year-old white boy used as justification to murder 10 black people in a predominantly black neighborhood. I was probably this close to having this man as a professor, and he genuinely thinks it's my fault why the world is the way that it is. Woo, I hate it here.
I mean, the connection to the manifesto is nuts. It's just nuts. Everything is connected. Everything, everywhere, all at once.
I see what you did there.
See what I did there.
So that is, I think her name is Morgan Y. Cole or Morgan D. Cole on TikTok. I follow her. I love her to death. You should give her a shout. And the other one, I'd have to go, the Detective Deviant, I have to go check her out. But I TikTok is amazing. TikTok is it is the perfect expression of the algorithms that we always talk about that give you more what you want, your whole FYP page, et cetera, et cetera. My entire TikTok feed is racial issues. One Gullah Geechee professor that I follow, Son Michaud, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, the struggle for equality. That's everything I see on TikTok. And every now and then, like a dog, right? Or something funny. But other
dance
people's
videos.
TikTok, like, they'll say we got, black TikTok, gay TikTok, women's TikTok, et cetera. It is what you make of it. And there is educational things to be found out there if that's what you're looking for. If not, hit me up because I will tell you, I got hours of content, some of which I like to bring to you because I think it's worth everybody seeing. So give those women a follow because there's some smart women out there.
That's right. Where we can amplify voices that are doing impressive things in the space, we definitely do want to. Excuse me. There are a couple of other things that we would like to point out. One of the things that kind of tickled me this week on the political side is the Michigan gubernatorial race. Now, a bunch of you all know that Michigan has done some real crazy things. You had those dudes talking about they were going to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. When Michigan flipped for Biden, it turned into one of the things where they were trying to decertify votes from Detroit because Detroit is super black. And so the super black voters voted super Biden-y. And so you had people banging on windows and things talking about we saw truckloads of votes, blah, 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 all that. So obviously, since Whitmer was a target, there were a bunch of GOP candidates trying to get on the ballot to unseat her. And a couple of those were legitimate frontrunners that had the backing and, Trump and people were talking about them. And then this happened. 5 gubernatorial candidates who were trying to get on the ballot submitted 70,000 forged signatures. And so had to be removed from the ballot. 70,000 forged signatures. And among the arguments that they tried to make as to why they shouldn't be penalized for the forged signatures were that A, the Michigan Secretary of State should have warned them about using felonious signature gatherers, and that they should have been notified longer in advance that whole sheets of their signatures were fraudulent, and obviously fraudulent because they were nearly identical to other sheets that had been forwarded for other candidates. And so the way it's structured is that you have this board, and the board renders a decision, and then you have a bipartisan board, 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, and they split along party lines. So the Democrats voted, yeah, we're going to affirm the decision of the elections people. And the Republicans said, well, no, we don't affirm the decision of the people. But when you have a head-to-head push, the ruling stands. So all of these people are off the ballot. And guess who sneaks through the cracks? Someone who was polling at 3%, who has the backing of DeVos. Because DeVos, whoever this person was, they didn't actually use the scandalous people, because they had DeVos money. I guess they could pay that good fee. And so they paid for the good signature gatherers. And so now this person who was polling at 2 or 3% is now one of 2 people who is actually eligible for the ballot. And
slow and steady wins the race.
The primary is August, but they have to have all of the ballot stuff closed out by June 3rd, which is basically a week from now. And so these people want to sue, and they want to do this, that, and the third. But the Michigan Supreme Court has a Democratic majority, and also you got fraudulent signatures. You can't
play stupid games.
They want a mulligan, but we ain't know they was fraudulent. So can we permit voter fraud by having fraudulent signatures certify us? Is it okay for us to do voter fraud? Big steal, big lie. Can we do it? Kraken?
So wait a minute. If all of their signatures, or a good portion of the signatures, are fraudulent, was dude really polling at 3%, or not? Like, they got real signatures. So
no, but so the polling is different. So you get your signatures, and then they do the poll. So the DeVos backed chick wasn't considered a front runner because I guess she's a novice, right? Mm-hmm. But she's apparently good looking, and she's very Trumpy. Oh. So she's actually not a bad candidate from that perspective, but whether or not it will be enough to overwhelm the fact that you have a sitting governor who actually knows what the job is versus some hack who
let them mix it up.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, they did petitions where you could just pay a qualifying fee. So if they get back on, it's because they just paid the qualifying fee instead of using the petitions.
Well, I don't know how much the qualifying fee was, but this brother, who looks like he's at a Diddy concert for Kevin Samuel's memorial, is part of it is all disintegrated, and it gives my heart so much joy to see them immolating themselves like this. It is delightful. It is a treasure. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing.
We got a couple more videos to show.
We do have a couple more videos. So, your boy, now this is one of those things where I've got to provide some context. It does say Tucker Carlson is saying words that affirm that black people are actually superior at a genetic level to white people, but to his credit, he is quoting the words of somebody else. But it is great that we have this video of Tucker Carlson saying these things.
He said it.
He did say it, and so enjoy.
Richard King reveals that the core of the human brain is the locus coeruleus, which is a structure that is black because it contains large amounts of neuromelanin, which is essential for its operation. 2, black infants sit, crawl, and walk sooner than whites. 3, Carol Barnes notes that human mental processes are controlled by melanin, that same chemical which gives blacks their superior physical and mental abilities. 4, some scientists have revealed that most whites are unable to produce melanin because their pineal glands are often calcified or non-functioning.
Hashtag
Pineal
calcified.
calcification rates with Africans are 5 to 15%, Asians 15 to 25%, and Europeans 60 to 80%. This is the chemical basis for the cultural differences between blacks and whites. And 5, Melanin endows blacks with greater mental, physical, and spiritual abilities, something which cannot be measured.
Okay. So basically, we're superheroes,
We're better.
and
We're
What was
the
at the end of that though?
well, it just clipped. I don't.
it
I
clips
think
out. Yeah.
because that was a TikToky sort of thing, but yeah. So
So
that's your
kill
leader.
us all.
That's to care,
Mhm.
son of Carl. That's doing that.
Like I say,
That
they
ain't.
hate us because they ain't us.
Yeah, that's right.
And I mean, if you think about the industry, I mean, in spite of the fact that I do believe this country is a hot effing mess, in that we are all having to be hyper vigilant because we live in danger, etc. In spite of that, we are damn near indestructible. If you think about the concentrated efforts that have been put in place
Invincible.
to take us out as a created race, we shouldn't be here, and yet here we are, taking the highest office in the land, getting on the Supreme Court of the land, running shit, being black women. Old boy said the Delta's about to take over everything anyway. So I mean, we can't be stopped.
Hoes mad, 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 hoes mad.
Yes.
It's the skin and the thighs and the hair and the smile and
She
the
looked like she smelled like
vibe and the
cocoa butter and
swagger.
ambition, bro.
I mean, wait, you said cocoa butter who?
And ambition.
Not ambition.
Yeah, a
Yes,
lot.
Teyona Paris. Yes, Teyona Paris. Yes, Teyona Paris. Um, uh, there's we don't have any more videos to play, but there is just one thing. We just heard about melanin and we just heard about black superiority. This is not a black superiority, but this is stunning. Now, this is a dude who took the biblical imperative of go forth and multiply a titch too far. He got 30 free cheering. And people were talking about, to Cardi B's credit, make your pull out game weak. He said, nah, ain't no pull out game. I don't pull out. Talking trash. He don't pull out. And I take care of my kids. If you can see, you can Google him. He got 9 kids like on the front bench that all look like they between 1 and 2 months of each other. So I don't see
I
how
mean,
anybody is taking care of that many kids unless y'all on some sister wife stuff in the crib.
I
And
mean, they say it takes a village, but how can it take a village when it is the
you got
village?
a village.
Right.
If it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a metropolitan center to
Right.
raise your family ass.
Right. He is a town now.
He
Population them.
he is a town and calls
Wow.
himself the wait, I think uh
The
he's
crop dusters. That's what
the
he needs to call
legend.
himself.
I think he's the legend and they are the legacy. I think that's what it is. That's what
Whatever.
he calls himself. He's the legend and they are the legacy. And he's got pink legacy for the girls and white legacy for the boys. He's got 2 like more grown up age looking kids. And then all the rest of them are
Oh, they're
like
the ones
toddlers or
watching the rest of
infants.
the kids.
They were the originals, I
The younger
guess,
kids are calling their older sister mama right now.
right now. And some of them calling the other kids mama grandmama. Because there's a picture, and 9 of the kids couldn't even make the photo shoot. I don't even know if Nick Cannon likes that. Damn. Can you imagine when all 9 of them kids in college at the same time?
You ain't going to college.
Well, that's true. Oh, he's browbeating the Duggars.
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny. Yeah, Johnny Sunflower. Yeah, Johnny Appleseed. John all the seeds.
He was
What?
crop dusting seeds is what he was doing.
Yeah. What?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what you call that's indiscriminate. And then he's running off a stack of 50s like that shows it's
Well,
not just
child support is
finance.
based on the income that you have. So he may
Right.
be paying child support to at least 25 of them 30 kids or whatever, 33 kids. But I mean, how far is that $8 a kid gonna go?
That's what I'm saying.
Unless
That
he is balling, which I don't think he is,
well,
then
he claims he balling. I mean, but that's barely a pint of Creamalicious a month per child.
I mean, can he find formula?
Yeah, he needs a formula for spermicide. That's what he needs.
Yeah, yeah. And Greg, you're right. When they lynch us and kill us and try to take us out, it's because of the fear that they are putting into the news now, fear of being equal. Because nobody's ever talked about oppressing or suppressing or excluding white people. We just say we want some and we deserve some. Matter of fact, we work real hard to get some. Can I get some?
Right.
No, I got to kill you so I can keep it all to myself and not know how to make more. That's another thing. But anyway, I won't even get into that. But yeah, they hate us because they ain't us.
That's
And
right.
we have never collectively tried to displace them. We just want like the proverbial seat at the table. That's all anybody's asking for. You do you. You sit over there with your, pumpkin spice latte and your mayonnaise sandwich. I'm gonna be over here with my Hennessy and jerk chicken, and we can both sit at the table and eat. You don't have to be like that. Sure smells good, and I don't want none of what you got. But you can leave me here, and I can leave you there, and we can both coexist. But the fact that you smell my Hennessy and jerk chicken makes you want to put a bullet in my face. That is not right. That is not fair. And why you got to be like that? You teach your kids hypocritically to share in elementary school, right? But then again, you shooting them in elementary school, so they're not growing up to exercise those sharing beliefs. So I guess it doesn't matter at all.
Well, now that Sharon has rejoined us, we are definitely near the end of the broadcast. We do not have any more content. I would like to say
I got
that
chuckitis.
you got your well. That's fine. I would like to say that one of the things that I really love about the Sharpies is that Paul Statton said Trojan will not call. he is not the Trojan man. Clearly, one of the things that I love about the Sharpies is that as we are doing our show, you guys are constantly inspiring us and engaging us to pick up other side topics. It just happened that this week we were on top of it pregame, and so all the stuff you put in the chat we already had lined up and decked up for you. So I do want to say thank you, Sharpies, for being who you are, for pushing us to do the show that we want to do, and also the show that we think you all deserve and that we as a people deserve. And I will just say I did run back to the fridge, and there's a Creamalicious.
Jealous.
And so this says blissfully southern Creamalicious, thick as thieves pecan pie. Butter pecan with praline pecans, pie crust chunks, and caramel swirls. If y'all don't go get this Creamalicious from my Rattler sister, you doing the wrong thing. This is what you should be. Go get you a pint. Sell them out. It is delicious, Bobby Halliday. It is delicious.
Your mama.
It tastes like grandma
Target in the morning, Joy.
and dreams. They have banana pudding. They have Aunt Pooney's pound cake. They got red velvet. They got front porch peach cobbler. Y'all, if y'all don't go get this goddamn ice cream, there is not a flavor. They got a bourbon something or other. There is not a flavor I have read that does not sound absolutely delicious. And I can't take more than like a spoonful at a time just because I'm not even supposed to be eating none of this. The beatus. But Delicious, delicious. Black excellence. It tastes like black excellence and grandma hugs.
Their
That's what
their
it is.
website is
Yes,
soulcreamalicious.com.
soulcreamalicious.com. And you can
Order you
type
some.
in, you can
Carm, you
type
be
in the
overselling
thing.
stuff. It better be
Nah,
all that.
it is. It's delicious. All right. And with that, I will say, because we are at 7:24 and I got to move on, I am Tom Cunningham.
I am Sharon Letman Hicks.
And I am Joy Stevens.
And this is Steel Sharpeneth Steeleth.